Hi everyone, this is Melissa, artist in residence at Imagine, and today we are doing something really cool, and that is a swap project with another artist at Imagine. And I happen to get directions from Cassandra, and I'm gonna go over the video with you. I kind of have the products laid out here. um, I have to do a lot of modification from her protocol just based on the products that I have. And that is why I think this is such an awesome idea for people who, watch videos and they want all the products, but you might not have the money to buy all the products you need. Sometimes you can learn how to modify what you have to actually create something very similar to someone else. So the first thing I'm doing is taking a piece of watercolor paper as per her instructions, and I'm adding some creative medium with she said a diamond pattern stencil. Well, I didn't happen to have a stencil, so I used this stencil from Whimsy Stamps, and I used the creative medium on it, and once it was dry, I needed to use Pear Tart ink, and I didn't have Pear Tart Memento ink, so I actually took my Memento marker and used a smushing technique by adding the Memento marker color to the acetate you see, adding water, and then kind of smushing it into the watercolor paper. Now, I think my diamond stencil didn't have a lot of room between the actual places where I put the creative medium for that ink to really get smushed in there. But I did notice that the more water I added, the better it looks. And I think this is really cool to take something, she used the Memento ink and to use a marker instead because I had the Pear Tart and the Memento marker. And now I get a little bit creative with fireworks spray. So in her directions, she says to use black. Actually, I'm supposed to do a black Irresist first with Irresistible, which I don't have. And then I need to splatter fireworks spray and bamboo leaves on the background. And I don't have bamboo leaves. And the bamboo leaf color is very yellowy green. And so I decided to add Dandelion and I think it's Cottage Ivy together to get a yellower color, and I realized that it's not quite yellow enough, so I add some Tangelo, and I actually match the color of that bamboo leaf fireworks spray pretty closely to what I think it would actually be if I bought it myself. So sometimes you can mix your fireworks sprays to get the colors that you want, and I had never thought to try that before, but I actually get something that's very close to bamboo leaves. So, also in her directions, she used Irresistible black, but I did not have it. And so I wanted to use the black color because I thought that would look beautiful with the green. So I used Brilliance and added some water to it and then splattered it on. And now I'm taking that bamboo leaves fireworks spray that I created on my own and splattering that. As I dry this, I want to zoom in and show you because the color is fantastic. The textures are beautiful. Her directions are wonderful. And I think I can pull off pretty close to what she actually has in her card project. And so now that I've finished with the background, I'm going to go ahead and stamp an image. So her directions actually say to use a pre-cut silhouette shape or die cut a large leaf and flower shape out of black cardstock. I don't really have a lot of dies in flower shape, so I decided to stamp this SugarPea Designs Peony onto the black paper in Cloud White Versa Magic, and I like that, but I decided I really wanted to soften the white, so I actually put black embossing powder from Imagine over top and heat embossed, and I got this really beautiful kind of almost like a watermark on the paper with those, the black embossing powder and the white Versa Magic white cloud ink. And it turned out really pretty. So now I'm just simply fussy cutting the image out since, again, I don't have a die for this. And I think it turned out beautiful. And I love the added texture that, that embossing powder and white cloud Versa Magic made. So now the next part of her directions are actually to stamp a sentiment, and I want to go ahead and put the card together just a little bit so I can get an idea of my sentiment. And she also mentions die cutting a scallop frame black cardstock. And so I'm going to do that. I don't have a scallop frame, but I'm taking a rectangle die from Whimsy Stamps, and then actually taking a postage stamp die from SugarPea Designs, and I'm die cutting that so that I make my own kind of scalloped frame. Now, I misread her directions because she says to take the scallop frame cardstock and adhere it slightly askew to the card base. And here you see me making my black card base. Well, I didn't really understand, or I didn't notice the card base portion of her statement. So I decided to go ahead and adhere the background that I made with tear it tape to that um, base, and then put the frame on the front of the card. And I think this is one of the places where our creations deviated because I misread her directions. So what you're seeing me do is adding tear it tape to my card base that I created, or not my card base, I'm sorry, my background that I created. And I use tear it tape because it adheres very nicely to watercolor paper and the card base. So then I'm going to take some on point glue and add that frame to the front of the card. And again, this is where I made a little bit of a mistake. So when you see her product, or her final creation, you'll see that she did something a little bit different than I did. But the outcome is still pretty cool because they're close, even in the color. So now I need to take two Whimsy stamp sets here and create a sentiment that says, "You are my hero." So I actually had to combine two different stamp sets in order to get this because I didn't have anything that said "You are my hero." But I'm stamping it in the Nocturne VersaFine Clair, and I stamped it once, and I decided I didn't like how I lined up the sentiment, just because these come from different scents. I don't think they have they weren't cohesive until I smushed them a little bit closer together. So I did that, and then I added some foam dots to my flower, as she does in her creation, to pop up that flower. And I just take, for the stem, because it's so thin, I just take my foam dot square and cut off a little piece with my scissors to add kind of a little piece to the leaf so that it stays popped up as well and doesn't get smushed when I send it out to someone. So I'm just going to adhere this to my card and then take a little bit more tear tape and add it to my sentiment. And that completes the card for today. And again, this original was from Kassandra, an amazing Imagine artist here as well. And if you haven't checked out any of her work, you should do so on the Imagine channel and also on the Imagine blog. I hope you had fun creating today and you learned a little bit about how to take someone's project and use the products that you have to create something very similar. Thank you and have a great day.